one of the side, which is the negative, you want to lean it in to the negative bar on the battery. Anyway, there's YouTube videos that can show you how to do it. I put a wire on it so you don't have to use a paper clip, but you might hear a little noise here. Let's see if I do this correctly. Where the battery charges here. Let me see if I'm doing this right. I have to turn this around. It's very interesting. We should have video on this, like a YouTube video. This is cool. There you go. And bam, I have the light. You know when the light turns on? Because a lot of the lights will turn on. And then you have a light deal going on, which is so cool. But it charges it, and it's a 9-volt battery. So there you go. Boom. That's all you need. USB, and you can use a paper clip if you had to, or a little wire that you could makeshift. But I bought 4 of them just in case, because we don't know how long the electricity is going to be out. But you can charge any cell phone with this, but you have to have your charger from your car, okay? Check it out on YouTube. Maybe we'll put together a video a little bit later on for yours truly doing it. That might be very, very unique. We might even post me filling up the jugs of water this morning. That was kind of cool. Got some pictures of that where a lady actually tried to steal water from me. Can you believe that? I mean, if she really, honestly, if she needed it that bad and she had to steal it from me, I think I would have been willing to actually give her one of the 5 gallons. Honestly, she didn't need to steal it. If it was that bad, but she took off quick. I was just, it's not the right thing to do. But I was kind of shocked. Because I've lived in New York, lived in a lot of different places. I don't think anybody's ever tried to steal water. But then again, I understand the climate. I can't find water on the shelves. Even the convenience stores. We have a Wawa. You say that seriously? You know what a Wawa is? Yeah, they serve great coffee. They're huge. They're Wawas. Yeah, they're all over. They have them here in Florida here. But we got a nice one here. I had to pull in. I had to get some Gatorade for my brother-in-law. He's not feeling too good. But went in there. There's no bottles of water that you can even buy, so that even people are paying top shelf prices on that stuff. I got to give some big kudos to our state's attorney, Pam Bondi, yesterday. She was coming down on price gougers, and I got to tell you, I commend her for yesterday cracking down on these idiots who are gouging people at the pump. There's some gas stations that are doing that. Chevron, she shouted about yesterday. If you didn't hear yesterday's show, here's Pam Bondi.
So we set up our hotline. I can't do that until a state of emergency is declared. Right. Once I did, I have 50 full-time people and trained an additional 60 volunteers in my office, stepped up to the plate. I have 110 people working 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., 7 days a week, trying to keep track of all the calls. 1-866-9-NO-SCAM. You cannot inflate prices during the time of a hurricane for essential commodities, food, water, fuel, etc. Ice, that's what we're seeing. Generators. What I've been seeing, a lot of water complaints. I think initially we had about 300 water complaints. So far, when we came in 8 o'clock this morning, we noticed we had about 45 complaints against Chevron gas station. So Chevron, if you're watching me right now, you need to call us and tell us why your prices are inflated in South Florida. Tallahassee, they're not. In Tampa, they're not. In South Florida, they're high.
And you can hear that. She's mad. And anybody that's done that and any of those complaints, you better believe Pam Bondi, she's like a bulldog, man. She's going to take care of you. It's just not fair, but people are doing it. Greed. It either brings out, like I told this lady yesterday, either the best or the worst out of people. It's either one or the other. Some people are just all for themselves, can care less about anybody else. And understand that people's nerves are on edge, but there's just not excuses for businesses to be able to take advantage of vulnerable people who are just trying to take care of their families. So I commend our state's attorney. Glad she's looking out for the people, and we need that. There is some advisories here. It's interesting, if you don't live in the Bay Area, they say no matter where you are in the country, And this is true because you can watch like the national forecast, and I like Janice Dean at the Weather Center there with Fox News Channel, but we have our own local news, and these people, they know Florida weather, and they got their own radar systems here, and so they do a pretty good job locally. So they always tell you to turn on local news and see what they're saying. Well, at the National Weather Service, this is Tampa's office in Ruskin, the forecasters here at least are saying that Irma's effects are likely to be felt in the region starting on Saturday. So if you're here in the Bay Area listening to my show here, well, that's what's happening. If you're listening across the country, kind of lets you in on a little information because you're amazed at what we're going through here, especially if you don't get this kind of weather. Anyway, tropical storm conditions possible the overnight hours Saturday, while hurricane conditions expected throughout the day, Sunday into Monday. So that's when things are really going to start blowing. But things are going to start being felt in the region starting tomorrow night. All right, into Sunday and into Monday. The main window of concern for Hurricane Irma's impacts across west central, southwest Florida is Sunday through Monday afternoon. Service forecasters wrote in Friday's morning local hurricane statement, forecasters are urging residents to prepare for damaging winds, storm surge, and the possibility of flooding rain. Moderate risk of flooding due to heavy rainfall may prompt several evacuations and rescues, according to the agency. Tornadoes, that's why I say the weather radios, folks. Also a concern for Irma, making a way through. People who have been asked to evacuate should do so. Stick to prescribed evacuation routes. Irma's westward track shift. Remember I said things were shifting? Well, there was a shift yesterday that placed Tampa Bay area in jeopardy. Now, that wasn't entirely surprising, given the region that had been soundly within the hurricane center projected cone for days. But even without the wobble to the west, people needed to be, reminded of the cone of uncertainty. The University of South Florida professor teaches at the School of Geosciences and has dedicated his life to studying storms like Irma. He says some people are just focusing in on line instead of the whole cone. Collins and her students were out on Thursday visiting rest stops along Interstate 75 to meet with and interview evacuees. While their focus was scientific to learn more about factors that influence people to evacuate or not, Collins found herself concerned about the number of people she encountered who lacked plans on where to go or the tools to do so effectively. Collins said that she ran into people at the Pasco County rest stop who were struggling with paper maps to find their way, and those who were unable to use the map apps on their smartphones. And more troubling, a lot of people who had no idea where they were going. Collins and her team also encountered a dog that had either been dropped off by an evacuee in desperation or had escaped from its owners. The USF team was able to get to rest stop employees to catch up and care for a stray border collie. Collins learned Thursday night that the dog had been taken in by somebody at a foster home and was in good hands. The silver lining in the cloud was news Collins was happy to pass along. Nowhere to go. No plans. Couldn't read a map. I don't know if this is just the world of digital, but that was a digital map app. They couldn't even read the map app on the phone. Oh, my goodness gracious. Didn't have a plan. That's scary, folks. That's scary. But complacency is I've seen it. And it gets people killed, unfortunately, where they just find themselves in a highway where they get out too late and they can't go anywhere. And if you're in a low-lying area on the highway where you're going to be overtaken by water, where are you going to go? The Florida governor, I got to tell you, I commend him, Rick Scott. He's been on television. The guy looks like he's been awake. He's been on television, 8, 10, 12 times a day ever since the announcement of the state of emergency. So they're really working overtime to try to get gasoline, the biggest thing to get people to where they need to go. And Pam Bondi, our state, doing a nice job here trying to get people ready for eventualities here. But be smart about this, folks. Be smart. Kansas City Chief quarterback Marcus Peters last night sat for the national anthem at last night's NFL opener at New England. The latest protest comes ahead of the NFL's opening Sunday, during which many more players are expected to protest our national anthem. Peters' protest comes days after Seahawks defense lineman Michael Bennett, who was sat for the anthem as well, accused Las Vegas police of unfairly targeting him because of his race. Vegas police have pushed back on the accusation, saying officers chased down Bennett because he ran from an active shooting scene. I mean, this has been the case all over the country. Freddie Gray, I mean, wrong store, stealing from a store, running from police, grabbing his gun. When you do things like that and you're robbing somebody, you're running from somebody, you're doing something wrong, what in the world do they expect is going to happen? And maybe it's a coincidence that you're black, but not all officers are racist. They're trying to enforce the law. And if you're breaking the law and you're doing something wrong, you might get shot. You might just get shot. It's not a nice thing to think about, but when you're doing something wrong, don't be surprised if something bad happens. I mean, that's just common sense, don't you think? It's amazing how people take stuff out of proportion and they don't look at the facts. They hear the rhetoric, they hear the lies, they hear the propaganda. And I'm not saying that there's not any racism in police officers' jurisdictions. I'm sure there is. And they need to be fired, reprimanded. There's no place for that. That's just not. But the Vegas police have very much stood by this accusation, but they said that the officers did not single him out, but he was running from an active shooting scene. And they wanted to know what he was doing, why he was there, why was he running? If somebody's running from an actor-shooter situation, given the training, any officer would tell me, and we have a lot of officers that listen to this broadcast across the country, they would be after him. That's their job to go after him, because why are you running? Obviously, the person's guilty. Either they knew what was going on, they were part of the crime, whatever, they're going after him. That's what they do. These protests got to stop. The NFL needs to stop this stuff because they're going to lose people from going into the stands. They're not going to watch the games anymore. A lot of people have stopped doing it. This is despicable. And it's angering fans to no end. It angers me. Unless the NFL does anything, if they don't do anything, I'm telling you, there's not a chance that I'm spending another dime on the franchise. It doesn't matter where it's at. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go to hockey or basketball. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of this. Is just nonsense. This is not the time or the place. If they want to do this, they need to do this off the field, do it on their own time. If they want to have protests going on, do it off the field, but don't make this part of football. Football's football, and that's it. You know, I hate to say this, monkey see, monkey do, but I think that's what's happening here. Wow, well, Colin Kaepernick, and this is just, I'm going to do it, and he's going to do it. What do you think's going to happen here? People are going to get ticked off because, and more people, believe me, are mad because of the flag. They hear what you're saying and the reason why you're doing it, but they just don't feel like this is the time or the place. And many people have said it. More people are against it than are for it, that's for sure. The millions that they're played, they want to play that game. They need to, again, do it off the field. This is just ridiculous. People come there to see a game. Owens said that he doesn't respect the NFL leadership, accusing them of taking a knee on our country by letting these guys run rampant.